Enga iwi, enga mana, enga waka, enga hau haere mai, haere mai, haere mai. Raurenga tira mā, tēnā koutou, ka nui tahari, ko ai haere mai nau koutou katoa. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā rā koutou, uh, uh, ka, uh, tēnā rā koutou katoa. Kia ora nā, malo elelei, talofa lava, salam alaikum, namaste, and welcome every one of you joining us here on the either on the webinar or also on the Facebook Live on the Greg Wood speaker side and the Waitakere Ethnic Board side. Great to have your company here this morning as we go live with the final episode in our Moments That Matter series brought to you by the Waitakere Ethnic Board with the very kind support of Foundation North and the Aotearoa Academy. It's been a pleasure bringing you these presentations over the course of this last 6-week period. The whole process of this was to bring to the ethnic and migrant community from Waitakere all the way up to Northland and further afield, a series that talked around mindset, that talked about resilience and wellness, well-being, kindness, and all of the elements that give us the opportunity to thrive and survive throughout this COVID period. It has been an extremely challenging year in so many different ways. And along with those challenges, of course, we've had some wonderful moments and some wonderful successes individually in our social groups, in our communities. And it's a real celebration, this whole process of what we're doing here. And so, what we're attempting to do, and we're certainly hoping that it is of benefit, is to bring various different viewpoints from a range of speakers from different communities, all of them with an immigrant base. And that's a really big thing. I'm an immigrant as well, arriving into this country in 1972, admittedly from an English speaking country, in fact, England, the UK coming out here. But transporting a whole family from one country to another country and then having to make it, I think, is a pretty much a standard thing that we have for all of our communities that we are attempting to touch with this particular show. So I think we can also take heart that the stories and the experiences and the information that we've shared over the course of the 6 weeks is rooted in our own communities and has an opportunity to be able to increase our success and our sense of community, the sense of being able to travel through this world with a little bit more resilience, even if it's just a touch, with all of the information that we've shared. And because it's come from different viewpoints as well, it gives us another angle. We tend to go through life with the own experiences we have. And if we don't search further afield, it can be quite insular. We can be just going one line. And to have innovation, one of the cornerstones of innovation is to have multiple sources of inspiration. And that is really what we hope we've been for you over the course of this last 6 weeks. Today is no exception. We have joining us here online very, very shortly indeed, my next and final guest for the series, and that is Steffi August, who joins us coming in from East Germany. So if you know anything about the elements of Germany after the Second World War, it was divided into various different areas. And East Germany was very swiftly walled off as the Soviets took over that particular section of the country. For many, many years until the late 80s, this was pretty much a no-go zone. Steffi lived behind that wall. And I'm really keen to find out more about her experiences. And of course, the whole immigrant experience about coming here to New Zealand, the challenges that are involved in that, and how she overcame them. And interestingly, what she's doing now as a speaker in the community, working within the corrections service. And I'm fascinated with some of the wonderful success that she's had and interested in delving into exactly how she's achieved that and how she's using mindset to turn people's lives around within the prison service, but also out in the community with our wonderful range of different social groups too. So, without any further ado, let us move through and welcome Steffi August here to our space. Steffi, nice to have you on. How are you doing?
Hello, good morning. Great introduction. Thank you. It was awesome.
You're very
I'm fine.
welcome. You're very welcome indeed. And it's really great to have you here. Germany, West Germany in particular, has a great affinity for me. I spent a fair amount of time there. I lived in Germany, South Germany mainly, for roughly 9 months. And during that time, I managed to pick up just a little bit of language, as we tend to do. That's what we do when we live in different parts of the world, isn't it? With different countries. I'm really interested from your perspective because you speak really good English, which is brilliant. Did
Thank
that
you.
happen in school, in East Germany, or was it German and Russian?
Yes, we were taught Russian for 6 years every day. And we had school 6 days a week. So every day for 6 days a week, we had 1 hour Russian. And I still can speak and write. It's like in here. You will never forget this. Yes, no, that was yeah, Russian, German and Russian, but Russian was a must.
So that's so living and growing up in that particular environment must have been particularly challenging. But I'm interested in this because your experience would be that's your experience. You don't have any other experience outside of the place that you live in. But what was it like? And I'm going to couch this in. I've got some friends who grew up and lived in Poland, and their experience maybe mirrored yours, but it was the process of queuing and queuing up outside of shops for nothing. Essentially, there's nothing left in the shops. Giant queue. So I mean, I don't want to talk for you. Tell us what it was like growing up in those early formative years in East Germany.
What I say actually now is it is amazing that 40 years they could have a country under control. We were dictated and monitored for 40 years. That's fascinating, to do this. But I really would like to you imagine living in the country like where prices don't go up. You have free daycare, free childcare, you have free education, free healthcare. Everything is free, hardly any unemployment, hardly any crime rate. That sounds amazing, you know, but no such country exists. Not anymore, but this is where I was born and I was actually made in East Germany, like you said before. And because you didn't know the difference, this is what it was your life. Everything was dictated, monitored, and like you just mentioned, when something a queue was outside a shop, oh my goodness, as a kid, I so remember we walking past the veggie shop and we could see a queue already from the far. So, oh God, we have to wait there and see what we can get today. You had no idea what it was, but it was something special. Great.
So
And
it's
one really that was so we were and I love bananas. I still love bananas. I still remember as a kid, we walk past and people come out with bananas. Oh my goodness, what is this? I want this. So they came out with the bananas, 1 kilo per person. So 1 kilo, it's maybe 5 or 6 bananas, and say, Mom, come on, we go back in the queue and we buy another kilo. It wasn't a good idea. Finally, you went under. You already had 1 kilo. Mm. And you walked out. Even yogurt, take only 4. Yogurt, tomato sauce, gherkins. It was all measured for you. You were dictated, really, like puppets.
so that's a tough experience, and we're laughing about this now. I mean, it's because it sounds ludicrous and those
Yeah.
challenging times. And certainly, how old were you when you? We'll get to how you got out of East Germany, but how old were you when you came out of Germany?
We left in 1988. I was 24.
Wow. So
24, and Sally was 4 years old. It was on her birthday, but it was my daughter's birthday, but it was on purpose. They did on purpose so we had to go on her birthday to
yeah.
make it even more complicated for grandmas.
So
Make it
the environment that it was that you grew up in was there was a sense of foreboding like living in there? Was there potential? Did you have to make sure you towed the line that you did everything right? Otherwise, things may not go well for you.
Yeah, yeah. You really, like what I said before, it is really you were dictated control. You live like a puppet. Yes, you were dictated, and we didn't have a voice at all. And what I want to say also, we lived in fear of being randomly arrested while meeting up with our friends on a regular basis. You fear everywhere. And Stasi, I guess everybody knows Stasi, it's like a mafia from the government, and they were everywhere. They were absolutely everywhere. We had microphones in our car, in our flat. People went through our flat while we were out,
It's it,
controlled all the time.
it's difficult living here in New Zealand to comprehend that level of state intrusion into your life, and
Yeah.
that it is commonplace, that is how you live, that is the expectation of how you grow up, which it must be very difficult for raising children in this environment, because children tend to speak, don't they? So
That's right.
the
That's right. And but at school, honestly, we like when we started school, you start school at 6. You have a Zuckertüte, a big coat going on over there in September when you start school. Everybody is 6 years old. It is great, and it was all like the dictation was in some kind was nice because you go to the creche, you go to kindergarten, and then you go to school. So it was all organized for you. There was no dropouts or unemployment or you're not going to school. No way, that you really had to go. It was like an army camp, this Dresden, where I was brought up. And for years, in the morning when the teacher arrives in the classroom, everybody stand up and then goes, Verfriedenheit, jetzt muss Zeit bereiten. Immer bereit. You have to do this and you have to be strict. And then you could sit. It's like everything was like in an army boot camp. Everything. Even when we got older, we are 14, 15 years old. And then we didn't say, we didn't do this one. Then we says, Freundschaft. So friendship. So the teacher comes in, friendship, sit. That's how it went. I go somewhere, the Germans, I give orders, but I take orders as well.
Now you just mentioned Dresden, because this is the city that you grew up in, and for our audience who may remember their world history or have studied world history, will know that Dresden was significantly bombed towards the end of, at the very end of the Second World War by the Allies, and of course that in itself caused significant challenges for that city and also its inhabitants, and a massive loss of life. But you would have seen the city in its rebuilding phases, I'm sure,
Yeah.
that as you were
Yes.
growing up. Can you tell us a little bit about your experiences in Dresden?
Yes. So it's like I say, it's a really old city, but amazing churches, old bridges. And we had a chat beforehand, and I still remember the story from my mom because my mom was 2 years old. Was totally bombed out, totally. But lots of people went there to actually to be safe because the bombs were coming, the airplanes were coming, the jet was coming into Dresden. So that was the only place where they actually could go. And lots of people made it to the cellar and some not, unfortunately. So my mom, with my grandma, they make it to the cellar, and mom had a doll with her. I hope I'm not getting emotionally. And they were safe in there. And how she describes it, the sound, she will never ever forget. My mom cannot fly. She cannot go in an airplane. She will never ever come and visit me in New Zealand. She, as soon as she sees an airplane, the noise, everything, she's actually freaking out. I have to say this. She cannot. Even my son is a commercial pilot, but no, she absolutely can't. So And once the bombing was over and they actually could get out, no idea what to expect, and she lost.
Yeah.
Say to you, my grandpa, he was a teacher and he wrote a poem, and I would love to translate. I have someone to translate this poem. The feelings in there. This is you actually relive this moment as a 2-year-old losing your doll, in the sun. Oh, look at me! I'm getting emotional again. No, but they did lots of rebuilding. We had very interesting roadworks. We had the copper. There was no concrete, no asphalt. Totally different. But the entire Dresden, so it's approximately 500,000 people live there. It's a beautiful city on the River Elbe. There is a bridge. Maybe you heard about it, the Blaue Wunder. This is very, yeah. It is still blue. It's the reason it's called Blue Wonder, because it is a blue bridge. It is still, but they have done heaps, especially with the Frauenkirche.
Yes.
The Frauenkirche. I guess some people maybe been in Dresden and have seen this Frauenkirche.
Can you just describe or tell us? Obviously, Frauenkirche it's a church,
Yeah.
but can you tell us what that means for our audience who perhaps German is not their first language?
Yeah, that was the biggest church in the middle of Dresden. Beautiful, like you call it, like in Russia, we have like onions as a roof. Beautiful, huge. But like I said, it was destroyed on the last day of Second World War, and over the years it was rebuilt. But it cost so much money, so they started something really special that people could donate money to the church and then block. And this is what my other grandma did. My other grandma, she bought a concrete block, and we know exactly where it is. So when I've been in Dresden, my mom said, "Hey, this is grandma's concrete block." So she donated, and the church, if somebody goes to Dresden one day, we can fly again. Go, it's worth to see it. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And all the old castles around as well. This is, yeah, you have to see it, to be honest. You have to see it.
You describe it so beautifully. I really do want to see it. Some of the architecture throughout Germany is phenomenal. The things that were saved after the Second World War, and also the architecture that's been built since the Second World War as well. There's some amazing stuff there. But the whole process, I'm just getting back to this particular session that we're doing, which is the Moments That Matter session for the Waitakere Ethnic Board. And we were talking around elements of COVID, and you mentioned family overseas. I mean, this is one of the biggest challenges that we've seen, or when we first started the series, where we asked a lot of our target audience to say what were some of the challenges that we had. And one of the biggest things was this inability to connect with family who are overseas. And the fact is, we are unlikely to be able to fly for a significant period of time. How has that affected you and your family?
I think thanks to technology. So everything is possible. Mum rings me every week, tells me all the latest stuff. We actually don't know really what's going on overseas. I talked to my brother the other day, and the things he's telling me, he says, "You know what? East Germany is coming back. The situation over there, strikes, demonstrations, the East Germany is in the making again." It is crazy when you really think about it, because before we left to West Germany, I always say it's like, describe it as a pot. The water is boiling, and it's boiling and boiling, but then it's boiling so much that the lid is falling off, and they had to open the wall, the boundaries. So
Yes.
and this is actually at the moment over there. So I say, I appreciate being here, and I made the move. And what you said before, Greg, it is, our lives are full of challenges, but if we know how to see them as an opportunity, that makes life much, much easier. And so many people say, "Oh, I'm happy when 2020 is over." But to be honest, reflect. What do you take out of 2020? What new opportunities did you have?
Mhm.
When we had the 4 weeks lockdown, that was for me, it was runners and bikers paradise. I have to be honest. Bike rides at nighttime and smelling homemade food everywhere. Seeing families out there during the day biking, reconnecting with families. This brought families together. Some maybe not, but most of them brought them together. And this is what counts. So COVID is not all like bad. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. I mean, there have certainly been some positives. And I recall right at the start of the lockdown process, when we had these, what was actually as much as a challenge from a business standpoint and a financial standpoint, because, obviously work's gone. What are we
Yeah.
going to do? The ability to slow down was actually
Yeah.
something that was a positive that came out of it. The ability to reconnect with family
Mhm.
was another positive that I certainly took from that as well. You have to sort of mitigate that with the fact that in the background, you're still thinking, okay, so where's the work? Where's the opportunities? How can we make our way through this process? But yes, taking and looking at things from a positive state of mind rather than a negative state of mind is definitely the right way to go about any kind of situation. Any kind of challenge that you are faced with. And you were faced in East Germany with some significant challenges, particularly how to get out of East
Yeah.
Germany. And you had well, tell us about the escape attempts that
Yes.
you
So
undertook.
how it actually started is like, we realized there's something is not right, and Dresden, especially Dresden, we were actually sheltered. We couldn't listen to other radio stations or other TV channels. We were absolutely sheltered in Dresden. Like, this was behind the iron curtains. And then we decided, you know what, it's time for a change. We don't want to live like this. And we decided, like many others, to make the move to West Germany. But however, making this decision wasn't easy because it meant we would lose contact with all family and friends once we are on the other side of the border. So we had to apply to local authorities to get permission to leave. But as soon as we did, we lost our jobs and we were put under secret surveillance by the Stasi, what I said before. We had microphones in our car, in our flat, but we didn't know in the beginning. And people went through our apartment all the time. So life was very challenging. But what I say, this was a challenge to fight, to grow, to get stronger, because we knew we wanted to get out. And I love what I do with my coaching. We had the passion to get out. We believe we can get out, and we were determined that we can make it. And we were unstoppable. And this is the thing, Craig. If you put it out there, you focus on the outcome, not on the obstacles. That makes you so strong. You can do anything in life, anything. So we waited for approximately we waited for 2 years. And during these 2 years, every week on a Tuesday from 3 to 6, the office was open where we went every Tuesday to say we want to get out, just to be seen, to get a tick. They
Yep.
really want to get out. Consistency. Another thing, consistency with everything in life, right? So we went to this office, and then during the 2 years, so we actually tried to escape 3 times. Twice
Right.
we went to Hungary,
Yep.
tried to the embassy, and they said, "No, we can't do anything. You have to go back." So that's what we did. Then the third time we tried to actually jump in a boot of an embassy car because they were not checked. They could go to the check doors or boots. But since all the roads or streets around the embassy on the border was monitored, it was far too risky. We couldn't do it. We had a daughter in Dresden. We just could not do it. So the only chance was really to wait and fight. But we had friends of ours. So they tried to escape during night. He was already on the west side of Germany waiting for his wife to follow.
Yep.
But she was shot. So he went back and both went into prison 6 floors under the main street in Dresden.
Yep.
We had no idea this secret prison existed. And a year later, West Germany immigrate to West Germany.
Yep.
There are so many tragic accidents, and 179 people lost their lives trying to escape. It is tough.
A huge tragedy. I have to say. I mean, within in very recent memory as well. And as you say, the conditions are becoming ripe for a similar kind of situation, and it's definitely nobody wants to be going down that track. But that process of coming out of East Germany, I understand that, and I know that people can go back and find information about themselves based on what the Stasi knew about them at the time. And I understand that you have your Stasi file. Is that correct?
Yeah. This is when you believe I was nobody. I was really not an important person. So you could, years after, you could apply for your and when you look at this, just as an example, so we sent a letter to West Germany and they copied everything. So everything they could find about us, even honestly, and what they also did, they did in here, there are things when I got the file, where is it? This is with black, so you can't actually read or say who it was, who actually put you in the poo-poo. You know what I mean?
So they've redacted the names of those who were informers on you.
Yeah. Where is it? Like as an example here, you see so you don't know who did it. We've got our suspicions who it was. I don't want to say it, but it doesn't matter. It's done, It's like I don't live in the past. It is done, but I've got this, and looking at it is that, my goodness, we've been so strong, and it made us even stronger to do this. So after this, the thing is great. I tell you.
Yeah.
So the 2 years, so we tried to escape, nothing worked. So we really had to fight and wait because till they say okay. So then after 2 years, we got a letter because there was no phone really. We didn't have phones in the house. You had to go to the phone box, where it's queues, with the queues outside, and everything was in mail. So then we got a letter to come to the special office again to get the final permission to leave. So once you had this, your flat, you had to actually delete everything because we were nothing. We were nobody anymore. As soon as you applied to immigrate, you are done. Honestly, you are nothing. So, and then so this was on the Tuesday between 3 and 6. So you cannot do this in 3 hours. There is no way. So now you have a week. Hopefully in this week, you can finish it and go back the next Tuesday between 3 and 6. If you are not in the queue by 12 o'clock, because then you don't make it to 6 o'clock. You have to be there to get out. Honestly,
that's challenging.
So we went back and we filed everything. Everything was done. We got to check. Okay, and now this is the next thing. Now they had 1 day to 3 months to give you the permission to leave, but you had to leave in 24 hours in a special provided train the following night. So you got the notice in your letterbox at 7:30 at night to leave the next day at 10:07 in a special provided train. So we did, once we have filed everything and we had to tick to leave, but we still waited for the last final tick, we actually moved in luggage every day to make sure everything was washed, because you didn't know if you get the letter at nighttime. And like I say, one day to 3 months. When did we got it? Just the day before the 3 months ended. So for 3 months, you lived in the limbo and had no idea when is the day. You couldn't earn any money. You actually couldn't do anything because you think, oh my God, tonight is the night. We are leaving. This is the power, the silent power.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's well, it's actually one of the most insidious forms of power, isn't it? It's just withholding
Yeah.
your rights, withholding your abilities to do things. I mean, I'm mindful that our migrant and ethnic communities here in from Waitakere and all throughout New Zealand probably share similar stories in terms of the countries that they've come from or some of the challenges that have been involved. And coming to a new country is rife with challenge because you don't know necessarily what to expect when
Yeah.
you get here. Um, I'm really interested. I'm getting the sense that all the way through this experience, these experiences are shaping you. They're shaping the Steffi who's sitting here now, and using those skills that you have now will have been born from these challenges and these hardships. And some of the realistic, the fact is, the challenges that we experience, depending on how we view them and how we tend to use them, can be incredible forces for
Yeah.
good. And I'm really mindful that right now with COVID and some of the situations that people find themselves in, with resilience, with willpower, by changing mindset, we can turn these experiences into positive learning experiences for future. What's your
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And we need challenges in life. Even we think, oh my goodness, I really didn't need this. But like you say, that formed me the person I am. I am a fighter. I always say, never ever underestimate little people. I'm just 157, but I can fight for my right. When it's my right, then I dig, like you say, you see challenges as an opportunity, how you see it, what your attitude is towards those challenges, and also then making decisions is that, yes, I can do it. Relationship within yourself, this is a very, very important one. If you don't have a good relationship within yourself, how can you have a relationship with others? It's a ripple effect. and
Yeah,
and like
absolutely.
what you say, because I was behind a wall, 3.6 meter high and 155 kilometers long. So did I want to live like this, or was it, no, it's time for a change, take on a challenge and transfer it in an opportunity. So I really want to ask some of our listeners to reflect and ask yourself, do you live a life in prison, or are you a prisoner in your own life? Go and take those two questions, go to your happy place and find those answers. Do you live a life in prison, or are you a prisoner in your own life? Find those answers. It can make a huge difference to your life. Life is too short.
That's a really powerful way of looking at things, right? And it's certainly born again by the experiences that you've had, and you're shaping lives. You're shaping lives behind bars now, and in an interesting way, you shaped your own life behind bars
Yes.
with the wall in East Germany. But you're taking those experiences and doing it in a different fashion here with some of the more disadvantaged people that we have whose life experiences have led them into paths where they've obviously moved into law enforcement, and as a consequence are now behind bars for some for some significant crime, and some for a significant amount of time. And I'm interested to delve into that shortly. But tell me more about the experience of coming into New Zealand. How did that process happen for you, and what was the what were some of the things you had to overcome in that process?
Yeah. Yeah. Can I quickly go back and to the East Germany when we actually got the letter? Can I?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Go, please. Yep.
New Zealand? There's because then on the day when we got the final permission to leave, so for the next day, then the train left at 7 minutes past 10. But before, we all, because it was my daughter's birthday, so we were all together. We lots of cars went to the train station. Then we drank bubbles out of paper cups. We hugged, we kissed, and we had no idea if we would see each other again. Just look at it, even 32 years later, you had no idea you see your family, your friends again. But we were determined for a better life for our family. And sometimes you have to make decisions like this. Even if some people, they live in a relationship, they are not happy at all. But then think about yourself. It is worth to make the change and take on the challenges, to see those new opportunities. So we left night, and after a long train ride, we saw houses and white houses and lights. So the difference between East and West Germany was so obvious. It was just crazy. So we arrived at 6 o'clock in the pouring rain and the winter cold in West Germany. It was on the 29th of November, 1988, on my daughter's this year 36th birthday. So safe to doing your math. So, and arriving there, and then you see a fruit and veggie stall at the train station, and oranges, bananas. But not for us. We couldn't buy it because we were not allowed to take any money with us. Nothing.
So
Only two suitcases.
you left East Germany with zero.
Yes. Officially with zero. We were not allowed to take any money with us because we had the East German money, and we were not allowed to have West German currency. Not allowed at all. So we arrived there with nothing. We did something, I can say it now because they can't put me in the jail now. So we had a $500 note. We had $500 West note between the seats. If they would check us, honestly, we were sitting there. If they would come in and check the entire cabin, we would go to jail, and Sally would have gone to foster care. So sometimes in life you have to risk something. Yeah. But then when we arrived, we were escorted from the Red Cross to a refugee camp where we stayed for 3 days. We were asked humorous questions and everything, they wanted to know for 3 days. And then we received 150.
Marks.
Yeah, West German marks. Passion, belief, determination. We were determined to make it work, and we did.
That's a phenomenally inspirational story, and I feel the inspiration from that. It's overcoming the odds, and going through that process of confusion, because you don't know necessarily what's going to happen, and you don't know for a fact that they're actually allowing you out of the country.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a train to somewhere else. You don't know, but you have to trust that this is the way that you're moving forward. So once you're in West Germany, why New Zealand? Why New Zealand?
Yeah. Wait. Yeah. I know you want to go. Are we good at the time? That is what happened then. 3 months later, so my brother was still in Germany, and the government wanted to make sure he wouldn't think of leaving as well. So they gave him a very, very hard time to make sure he wouldn't leave. So after living 4 months in West Germany, I had this feeling that something was wrong. So I had to ring my mom at work, even though the rest she could lose her job as a kindergarten teacher. But sometimes there is something wrong.
Yep.
Even 500 kilometers away, I was right. My brother, he tried to commit suicide. He was in hospital for months, and the government was sure he wouldn't leave the country anymore.
Yeah.
31 years later, he's coping all right, living in a special home for brain damage. Yeah.
So that's so very sad to hear. I'm so very sorry to hear that, Steffi.
Yeah, and look, it still makes me emotional. This live every day, it's just live life. You don't know what is around the corner. No. Yeah, back to your question, 8 years later. So we went on holiday to New Zealand. So lots of people ask me, Steffi, why New Zealand? Okay, we go to New Zealand. Yeah. So
from that time, so
you
you arrived into New Zealand on holiday. So what all of our community, the vast majority of our community, have arrived here from somewhere else, and it's been a varying different roads and different ways of getting here. Very swiftly, how long was the process from deciding to immigrate here and actually getting here to New Zealand?
9 months.
9 months. That's swift. That's a very swift process.
That's me. I'm a doer. If I decide something, my gut feeling says just do it. Passion, belief, determination. Heck yeah. No, we went on holidays Christmas in 95, and the place, the people, the weather, it's just paradise. And we thought, you know what? We could move to New Zealand. And at the same time, I was made redundant at work. But I said, oh yeah, this is great. This is the reason, Sometimes people, they are really upset when they're made redundant, especially now. So many people are made redundant. See the good side out of it. See the positive side of it. Don't waste energy on negativity and feel sorry for yourself. No, there was a reason, because 95%, honestly, Greg, of people, they were not happy with the job anyway. The universe took over and said, hey, you know what? It's time for a change. Take on the challenge. There is another opportunity for you outside.
So arriving into New Zealand, obviously you've moved again. You've uprooted your life. You've now come to New Zealand, but you had that wasn't the end of your struggles at that point there. So tell me a little bit about some of the.
Yeah. So coming to New Zealand, we didn't have a visa. We didn't know where to go, and I couldn't speak the language because I learned Russian at school. The only sentence I could say, my name is Steffi, and the first sentence I learned from the Kiwis, Steffi, take it easy. And then the cars drive on the other side of the road. The steering wheel is on the other side of the car. When I had to go to Auckland, I studied the map to make sure I know where to go and I wouldn't end up on the other side of the road. This is all little things, but it adds up. My son comes from kindergarten, Max. So I had another edition. So Max comes from kindergarten, and Mum, they speak a different German. Because at home we spoke German. So when we came over, Max was almost 2 and Sally was almost 12. So.
Right. They speak a different German.
Yeah.
That's such a lovely thing. It's such a child's view of the world and how things work. I really want to move. I'm thinking of time is disappearing on us here, and I would love it if we have any feedback from our audiences around here on either on Facebook or on the webinar itself. Would love to have some Q&A perhaps, but we'll see how we go with that. What I'd really like to do is talk about the work that you're doing now, because it's obviously been a long journey getting to the position you're in now. But the work that you do creates hope in our prison community. but it's not just the prisoners you're working with. Of course, it's people outside of the prison service as well, with the speaking that you do too. But I'm really keen to know, how did you take this infectious positivity, which you are completely filled with, uh, and move into an area that I'd say the vast majority of us have no experience with, preferably don't want to have experience with, but you've embraced this. So what drove you here? What's the drivers, and what are you doing within that service?
So I was always fascinated with prison. I don't know why. I watch all prison movies. It's for me watching those movies and seeing how they survive. That always reflected to me back, living in East Germany, how we survived and how people survive in prison, because it was a similarity with our war around. We were monitored, we were restricted, we couldn't travel, we couldn't do anything, nothing. And I'm always fascinated with it. And I thought I really would love with my like you say, with my positivity. And my kids sometimes say I'm soaked in positivity, but it's fine, it's a good thing. And I know this from the inside out, I am here for a reason, to make a difference. And then I decided one day, the universe talked to me and said, prison. And so I'm not going into prison. I'm not robbing a bank or something. Prison, and coaching. And I said, hold on a minute. I'm a coach. Yes. Why not? And I said, I'm a doer. So that, okay, I did my homework, what you have, police certificate and all those things. And I sent an email. I said, yeah, I want to work voluntarily in prison. I offer this and this workshop. I would love to run a workshop there. Yes. I had no idea what to expect. They didn't have any idea what to expect. I'm loving it. 2 years later, the difference I'm making in those, I call them my naughty boys, is amazing. Amazing. I love my work. Lots of people don't understand me, why I'm doing it. But I think those guys made a mistake. We all make mistakes in our lives. They made a stupid one. And I tell them, they made a stupid one, they ended up there. But everybody in life deserves a second or even a third chance. And they definitely deserve.
That is so true. I think one of the, as you're talking, I've done a bit of work with an organization called Pillars, which you may be familiar with. And Pillars is an organization dedicated to providing mentors, particularly male and female, particularly male, for children of prisoners.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the biggest issues with that is, and I think it's something statistically, is something along the lines of you are 12 times more likely to end up in prison if you have a parent who is also a prisoner. I'm not sure about that stat, but it's something around there. Uh, and so, as an organisation, Pillars does really great work in providing that role model activity as a mentor for children. Um, and while you're on the inside, doing your best to change mindsets. So, thinking about our community we're talking to now, the migrant and ethnic community, Waitakere through to Northland, the work that you're doing in the prison service, how can we translate that to changing mindset out here during these times? We're coming up towards Christmas. It is always, a particularly challenging time for a lot of families because we've got a number of extra stresses going on there. Again, very similarly in a way to the way that COVID changed the family structure. Christmas does that on a regular basis. We stop working. At some point, the work closes down. We end up then spending significant amounts of time with each other, which can, depending on your family situation, can either be really positive or it can increase the negative aspects in there. So, what do we do? How do we use positivity and mindset to be able to change our situations here now?
I think the really most important thing is to appreciate relationships. Very important. The first what I said before, your own relationship. Find your own goals, what you want to do, what you really want in life. What do you really want in life? Ask you this question. Relationship with others, with your loved ones. That's because this is what I get from the inside. There's now they're realizing how much they love their children and how much they miss the children, and even their moms as well, because there are really young ones in there. So the relationship, the love, and see everything in life for I have to say, for some of, say to the universe, thank you so much. I am in here because this is my chance to turn my life around. This is my second chance, and I should grab it with both hands. And this is what if I can plant one little seed, we can make a huge, huge difference in the 60% reoffending in New Zealand. Huge difference.
Wow, 60% reoffending. So if we look at it from a rehabilitation point of view, realistically, are we actually rehabilitating our prison community, or are we using it as a punitive method of vengeance, I suppose, in terms of the community?
I don't want to be too political because you're not going in there. What I really have to say, because everything what we do comes from the inside. What we think, it's what we feel. Everything from the inside. And I believe if we can change the person from the inside out, not from the outside in, we need to know what those guys need, how we can help them to survive once they walk through those gates again and not going back. This is the most important thing, to work with them. And this is what I do. I listen to them. And this is what the guy said the other week. He said, Miss, you know what? You really listen to us and you don't treat us like a prisoner. You know, they are humans and they made a mistake, but everybody can learn from it. And for them having the second chance, they should say, thank you so much. I will use this second chance. And when you have guys, and I say, oh, I'm so proud of you, what you just did. And they go, right? This honestly, it breaks my heart. But I know I reached him somewhere deep, you know? And this is, we have to work, everything is from the inside out. And I have to say, I love this work. I like making a difference in there. And I know I make a difference. And this is what I say to the guys: passion, belief, determination. I'm passionate about to make a difference. I believe I can make a difference, and I'm determined to make a difference.
Oh, that's beautiful. I mean, those elements there, with passion, belief, determination, they're really simple, but
Hmm.
they have so much power, depending on how much focus you put on them. And it really is finding what you are passionate about, um,
Yeah.
and and believing that you can achieve it, and being really determined to do it. In fact, probably the biggest part of that, it really is the determination part, right? Because
Yes.
that's the piece that you've got to get up each day and do the work, no matter what it is that you want to achieve. You have to focus on it, and you have to make sure that you are doing every step along the way. It reminds me that, just as you spoke, reminded me of some of the experiences I've had where I've decided that I'm going to get a goal, I'm going to set a goal, and I'm going to do everything I can to move towards that goal. Now, sometimes that's really challenging, and because you don't have the same mood, you don't have the same emotional state every single day, no matter what you're doing. So that process is all about the determination. How much do you want that goal? How much are you willing to work on it to achieve it? And these times of lockdowns, of worry in terms of what may or may not happen, and I think this is certainly over the course of this year, right? We locked down in March. We've moved through towards the end of this year. And then in August, or July, August, we had that second lockdown. Now that changed a lot of people's mental roadmap. People, and I've had a number of conversations with a wide range of people about what it did for them. But it was quite a mental bump
Mhm.
and put people into quite a negative state. Was that something that happened for you? Did you feel that too, or did you see that happening around you?
Like I say, I'm a little bit soaked in positivity, and as you know, I had my biggest challenge last year. I'm working through, but then listen to yourself. Listen to your self talk. I think this is so important. People wake up in the morning and they're straight away negative. No, but if you say, "Oh my goodness, yeah, it's a nice day," and see something positive straight away, really shower yourself with positivity in the morning when you go in your shower, and carry this one all day long. And like being in lockdown, as you know, I've been by myself and I had some tough times. But what did I do? You have your attitude, how you see your challenge. You give up or you get up. Give up is not an option. We get up. And for me, exercise. Exercise is my, if I feel like I'm overwhelmed or I have too much to do, oh, I go for a bike ride. Quickly, I go for my run, go for a walk. That helps you to get out, get away from it, and listen to yourself, how you talk to yourself. Because if you talk to yourself and you talk still in the past, always in the past, then you have most
Yeah.
the worries and the anxiety kicks in. But if you live in the now, in the present, and everything is triggered with your thoughts, what you think in a certain moment, live the life like this. It makes life much easier. It's not done overnight, but if you work on it and really listen and listen to your thoughts, and say, "Oh my goodness, I this thought from the past triggered my feeling right now. It was just a thought in this moment. Live in the now." That can make it is not and they absolutely fascinating actually how it works. They can do it now.
It's I always find it amazing. The human mind is an incredibly amazing thing, and
Yeah.
it seems to be so changeable. So very, and if we allow it to be, and one of the things that I've come across throughout my travels and my life has been that we can't choose what happens to us, but we can choose our reaction to that situation, right?
Yeah,
In,
that's
in
right.
every single way. And I'm always reminded of that process of you're driving a car down a road, and then someone, a bad driver, of course, because none of us are bad drivers, a bad driver cuts you off. Now you can do a few different things about that. You can get angry and chase them down the road because how dare they cut you off. You can do nothing, or you can simply go, well, that person might have had a need to be going faster than I was,
Yeah.
and perhaps that I'll just give them a little bit of leeway because you never know what experiences they've just had. They don't know what you don't know what stage of life they're going through as well. So you can either choose to react negatively, or you can choose from a positive
Mm. There is
standpoint.
another correct. There is another good example. What you just said. There's you're driving behind a car and your car is running out of petrol. Would you blame the car in front of you? No, it's your fault. Lots of people blame things from the outside, but then you think like, no, because I didn't went to the petrol station. This is nothing outside. It's everything. It's within you. It is your thinking and everything. So why should I stress out about other people, other situations? Like you say, how you see things with your eyes. It's everything. And take on the challenges. I really want people that listen to this. Get addicted to challenges, take them on and transform them into opportunities. In every challenge, I really have to say, in every challenge is an opportunity for something better, makes us stronger to go through, build more resilience in every challenge. And Craig,
Oh, yes, without a doubt. Life throws up its challenges, and how you deal with those challenges is the mark of how you travel through life itself. Well, I'm certainly hoping that this talk, this sharing of ideas, gives us our community that we're going out to some further options, some further thought processes about how they can go through in their own lives and look at the elements of positivity. And I've said this before, but I'll say it again. I love this thing about these sharing of ideas, right? Ideas are brilliant
Yeah.
because we have that. George Bernard Shaw said this, and I always quote him, that if you have an apple, Steffi, and I have an apple,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
give you my apple, you give me your apple, we still only have one apple each, right? But if I have an idea and you have an idea and we swap ideas, we both now have two ideas.
Yeah.
That's the beauty. That's the beauty
Yeah.
of the process of sharing ideas. And if we can continue that process on, we'll turn to another person with those two ideas and share our two with them, and they'll share their two with us, and we'll continue on and build and build and build from there. And it's a beautiful thing because it's with ideas that we change communities. And I'm
Mhm.
loving having you here on this show because your positivity and your very simple but very profound concepts are integral to being able to spark ideas in other people.
No, thank you. But it's really, it's like what you said. I want people to really to break through, to break out. Listen to themselves and make the changes, because we are all in the driver's seat. Nobody else can drive our car. We are, so you know what I mean. But we are in the driver's seat. This is our decisions, and live life to the full, really, every day. And like Albert Einstein said, we have to make mistakes. So don't end up
Yes.
in prison, but we have to make some kind of mistake. Otherwise, we don't learn. That's the way.
No, that's right. That's right. Because if you did something once and it was successful, you would just keep doing it over and over again, and
Yeah.
nothing would change because you are
Yeah.
not risking. You're not taking opportunity where you may fail. And failures are really one of those big things. If without failure, there's no innovation.
Yeah.
Edison's attempt to create the light bulb was born of over 1,000 failures, but he never said that he was actually a failure. He just said, "I've learned 1,000 ways not to make a light bulb."
Yeah.
Um,
And we,
and
yeah, you say.
and that's the reality. It's like every single thing is just a learning experience.
Yeah. If you can look up, you can get up. Everything. You know. It's,
So very,
I
very
like
true.
I like this saying. Yeah. Yeah. No. So I really want whatever who's watching this, hey, you can do it. And also what you said before, we have sharing. Talk to others. Talk. Don't bottle stuff in. Talk. If you have any problems, or you're even, you have something, it bothers you for such a long time, there is always someone out there who will listen and help you. There is hope for everyone. And with this COVID, yeah, I heard lots of things what happened, and one of our friends, committed suicide, and it breaks your heart. He didn't talk, and it goes a little bit great to men. Women talk more, but men, they
Yes.
just bottle everything in. They don't talk. And but this is what I try working with those naughty guys. They open up, and I tell them I don't want any caca in the room. I don't want what they think I want to hear. I want to hear what comes from here, nothing else. I wanted to open up, and this is how we can help each other. The same with your apple. Wait, the same with your apple. They help each other. Listen, help, support. It's all, we are an amazing community. Actually, in New Zealand, it's 5 million people. It's beautiful. We are lucky, I quit
We're
living
extremely
there.
lucky. I mean, this is the beautiful thing is that I didn't choose to immigrate to New Zealand. I came because my family, my mum and dad, made that
Yeah,
choice
yeah,
to come to this country, and that was born of a situation of they saw it as being a better life. Their life in England was very challenged. They lived in the north of England, was not very little work, no real opportunities, and they saw New Zealand as a great hope. We arrived into this country with very little. The cost was borne by the New Zealand government for us. We were the last flight of the £10 POMs, what was the scheme was called. So we
oh
came
my
into this
goodness.
country, my mum and dad, for £10 each, arrived in this country, children free, and Dad was working for a company for 2 years. So he had a return of service that he had to do for 2 years. And at the end of the 2 years, he quit that job, started his own painting and decorating business, never worked for anyone else apart from himself for the rest of his life. And now makes beautiful crafts and wooden furniture, which he did throughout his life as well, through his working life as well. But he's, that whole process of coming to a country and then making it. And the example that my parents showed me in that process of being immigrants was hard work, because there's no choice. You're here,
Mhm.
you have to make it work. There's no going back. You're here for good. And so I think what we tend to find is that as immigrants, we have a great deal of resilience because we have to. We must work. We must find a way, because the alternative is to not survive, and
Mhm.
we're just not going to go down that track. So,
Mhm.
well, I noticed we're coming towards the close of our session here, and I love talking with you, Steffi. And for our audience, Steffi is on the board of the Professional Speakers Association of New Zealand. I'm the president of the Professional Speakers Association of New Zealand, and we get to interact on a very regular basis around the aspects of professional speaking in here and also overseas. And through that, we get to share experiences like this, where we talk about our work and we talk about the things that we see working for our communities. And I love this because, again, it gives me different points of view, and it gives Steffi different points of view, and it gives our audience different points of view as well. It's not that we're always agreeing, because if we were always agreeing, then we wouldn't be failing. And we need to fail as well
Yes, yes.
across the board. So you have you have a boot camp coming up that maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's right. This is a Resilience Bootcamp. It's called Resilience Bootcamp 2021 Breakthrough to Break Out. This is different. You can have 5 hours, 10 hours, or 3 months. We're doing one-on-one sessions. I really want to help you to live the life you deserve and you always wanted, and to actually find out if you live a life in prison or if you're a prisoner in your own life. This is I love really to question people, and I for myself, I'm the challenge coach. I love to challenge people. So if you're a fine mate and is say, oh no, I don't like challenges, then you are the right person I want to work with. I need those people. They're going to challenge me, then I can challenge them for a better life. Love it, love it. So that's coming up. You can go to my webpage, steffiaugust.com. All the info is on there.
Cool. So steffiaugust.com, and that
Yeah.
will give you the information there for the boot camp. Is it something that people need to go to, or can this be done online? What's the process there?
Yes. So we can do Zoom. Thanks to the technology, we can do the Zoom using Zoom technology. All the people here at Tawanga Mount, we can do it in one-on-one sessions. So it's up to everyone. So we can do it anywhere and everywhere. Definitely, definitely. It's better in one-on-one, but I'm happy Zoom works. I still can challenge you on Zoom. Trust me. Never underestimate little people. And can I ask? Can I ask like I said to you, quick? I'm a doer, and
Yes.
I started on the 4th of August with my own YouTube channel. So people sharing their stories in a talk show base in my studio. So they coming actually to the studio. It's not online. It's in real. You know what I mean?
Real life,
So
actual people,
in
real
real
people
life.
in a physical space. That's
Yes.
that's
And
pretty novel.
yes, and that's what I say. So my topic is it's time to talk. So it's time to talk real people, real lives. So this is it. And we had Todd Miller here, we had Jen Tinetti here, we had some really very interesting people sharing their stories. Amazing, like with you, Wake, what you do. They are so inspirational. And even you, it's not your story, but you still can take out the positivity, the inspiration, and the final kick to make a decision. It doesn't have to be your story. I get the energy out of this world. Say, yeah, I can do this, and I'm going to do this. So if somebody wants to share the stories, it's in Tauranga, by say you're very welcome. We can organize a little talk show chat, and you're on camera. Easy as. Just
That,
do it.
that's a beautiful thing, and I think that's a really cool thing to do as well, because we often talk about this with our communities, particularly migrant and ethnic communities. What we tend to do, and this is very normal, we move to a new country, and when we arrive in that new country, what we tend to do is gravitate towards our own community. And that's normal, absolutely normal, because we go with what's familiar, and we go with the experience and the culture that we've grown up with, or we know. But there can be a challenge in that. The tendency is to remain insular, to become an island within the cultures of your own or the chosen country. And something like this, where you're challenging yourself to break out of your own comfort zone, to break out of the restrictions that you place upon yourself, is a very powerful thing and can make some significant change. So, I really appreciate you being here on the show, Steffi, and on this particular episode, the final episode of Moments That Matter. And I know that you've been a great proponent for this particular show and for me and for the work that I've been doing as well. And I've really appreciated your support, particularly in those moments where we've had some technical challenges, I think is probably the best way to describe those.
Yes, but you
But
had the opportunity to learn more and more and more. You break through to break out. That's what it is.
That's exactly right. And so, as we all know, I think for all of us who have been working on some kind of virtual platform over the course of this year, that nothing runs smooth. There's nothing that realistically seems to work 100% of the time at 100% of its quality level. But what we try and do is we try and do our best to be able to provide that platform and to provide the experience that we really want our audiences to have. And I think that's what we've really done over the course of the 6 weeks. And what's been some of your, as you've been thinking about what we've done today, but also over the course of this last 6 weeks, what you have seen, what is your overall feel of what we're providing for our community here, and what can we, from this point, what could we potentially do more for our migrant and ethnic communities?
I think it's absolutely fantastic. It's an amazing message what you just said before, and also what I say that you don't have to have the same story, but you can, if you listen carefully, you can take things out of those stories. The inspiration, if you have a day where you feel a little bit down, switch on and have a look and listen to the stories again. It will really boost you up. It will give you ideas. And having this positivity, it makes life much, much easier. And seeing challenges as opportunities is a must. And listen this, and Greg, you did an amazing job. I watched all the stories every week. Absolutely fantastic. And I know that was for you also a new challenge, but an amazing opportunity. And I know you're going to do more and more. And I can't wait to see all your new opportunities coming up soon. Now, definitely watch this. Everybody can benefit from every story each week. Totally different, but you can take something out of every story.
Well, Steffi, I got to say thank you very, very much for joining us here on the show. It's been a pleasure to have you on here, and also in the lead up as we've been discussing and talking about your journey, your story, and the work that you do for our various different communities. It's been a wonderful hour and a quarter sitting here with you in this
Oh,
particular
really?
studio. I know, it just goes like time just
Oh, goodness.
disappears really swiftly in this environment.
Oh,
But I really
that's really
appreciate
good.
it, and I wish you all the very best for the work that you're doing into the future. And also, just to say, that if you want to get hold of Steffi with the boot camp, then www.steffiaugust.com is the website to go to, and you'll be able to connect as well. So there's obviously some wonderful opportunities there for the future. Steffi, once again, thank you so much, and I look forward to connecting with you as we head into the future as well. All the best.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Keep up the good work. Okay, have a lovely day. Take on the challenges. Bye.
And that was Steffi August joining us here in the studio as we come to a close of our final episode of this, the Moments That Matter series, brought to you by the Waitakere Ethnic Board and also with the great support of Foundation North and the Aotearoa Academy. Really appreciate that. I mean, please do take a moment if you would like to review, go on through. You'll have access to these recordings over time. And what we will be doing is providing some links to those via the Waitakere Ethnic Board at the appropriate moment as well. So, what I'd like to do is round it out. My name is Greg Ward. It's been my absolute pleasure to be here as your host over the course of this last 6 weeks. And I certainly hope to be able to bring you more of these over time as well. So we started out, as I did, with a mihi whakatau, and it's only appropriate we close here with the pura aki. So, apti hono, tātai hono. Rātou te hunga mate, kia rātou. Tātou te hunga ora, kia tātou. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā rā koutou, katoa. All the very best. Keep your spirits up. We will see you. All the best for our communities. See you soon.